So welcome to this episode of the Discourse Collective. This episode we're going to be trying something a little bit different. It's our first reaction video. I wanted to react to a video that had a big effect on me because I felt like that's the best place to start. So we're going to kick off with a video from a channel called Stand to Reason. Stand to Reason are a Christian, I would argue mostly a Christian Apologetics channel. So one of the things I'm really keen about is not putting myself in an echo chamber. I really feel it's important to look at different perspectives, different viewpoints, different ways of looking at the world, different ways of making arguments. And so this is really what this is about. I subscribe to channels like Stand to Reason because I think it's really important for me to have a good understanding of what these guys think and how they approach the subject matter of religion. So with that in mind, I'd love to take a look at a video from the channel Stand to Reason. Tim Barnett is often on this channel, and he seems to be one of their main apologists. And he basically talks often about another video, so a reaction video, and he looks at various different aspects of that video. So I've commented on a couple of their videos specifically because they seem to be doing the same thing. They seem to be taking not great examples of an argument and then kind of picking it apart. But this one really stood out, and it really had an effect on me in terms of it made me like quite angry because it is deliberately misconstruing the point that's being made with respect to the young lady in the video. It doesn't necessarily make the point in the strongest way or the most cogent way that the point can be made, but there's a point there. And this guy Tim, he's an intelligent guy. He knows what the point is, and he kind of deliberately just goes around it, right? Because as you'll see in the video, it's one of the most difficult elements for a theist to explain. So this video has to do with free will. This is a topic I love. I find it fascinating. We did a video on free will because I just find this gets right into the heart of the human condition. And certainly it is a big part of religious argument. He takes this video and he looks at somebody's argument about free will. He kind of re-explains it, or he explains it a different way using apologetics. So the video is entitled "Should Christians Pray for Atheists?" So why didn't we just start off with the point that the lady makes, okay, that he's reacting to?
Ooh, thank you for bringing this up because I've been wanting to talk about this for a while now. Christians. Question for the Christians, number 3. Here we go. If your God, all-knowing, all-powerful, omnipotent God, made all of us by his own hand, he created us exactly the way that we are. That's what you believe, right? If your God made me into the atheist that I am, and he gave me the free will to believe or to disbelieve, when you pray for me, asking God to save me, how is that not a contradiction of your own God's will to have created me exactly the way that I am? How would he answer your prayer for me without directly voiding my free will, which is to remain religion-free? How would he do that? How is your prayer not a complete waste of your and his time? Because he can't answer your prayer. He can't void my free will that he's given me. How is he going to save me? And why are you so arrogant to believe that you know better than your own God?
Okay, so that's the argument that she makes. And there's some really good questioning in there. It's the kind of questioning that you do when you have a free and rational, agenda-free mind, that you are willing to explore options using nothing more than arguably questions. Okay, so there's some really good questions in there, and they in themselves are worthy of debate. And he now responds to that. Now, before we get into the first things that Tim says, that hat, it drives me crazy. I'm not really sure why evangelical Christians do this. Like, they just can't stop themselves splashing Jesus' name all over the place. Like honestly, Jesus is king, really? Like, you feel like you have to have that on a hat? I don't know, just kind of seeing it. There's an insecurity there, it seems to me. Like, okay, we get it. You have a set of beliefs, you know? Like, you know, maybe that's just me. Okay. So let's take a look at the first things that Tim said.
I want to draw your attention to 3 serious issues with this video. First, this video starts with a straw man. A straw man fallacy is when you misrepresent a view in order to refute it. It's easier to knock over a straw man than a real man.
So, first of all, he's going down the straw man route. Now, I'm not going to bore you, but the previous video I commented on was because he made a straw man. Tim made a straw man. Okay, so he's not immune to generating straw mans. None of us are, right? Straw mans are really easy to accidentally create. You have to be always on your guard that you are not making one yourself. And there's something that definitely crop up a lot.
Well, what's the straw man here? She says, he created us exactly the way we are. That's what you believe, right? Wrong. This is not the Christian view. Christians believe God made the first parents.
Okay. My alarm bells are ringing already, and we're 1 point in here. So the guy is alluding at this point, Tim is alluding to Adam and Eve, the world's first parents. Okay? Wow. Okay, so we know there is absolutely overwhelming amounts of evidence that we never came as a species from a single breeding pair. Okay, we know Adam and Eve is not literally true. So the channel is called Stand to Reason, and his opening gambit here is to bring in Adam and Eve. Now, wow, all right. So you're claiming to stand up to reason and wanting to use reasoned debate and argument to support your position, and you bring in Adam and Eve? Okay, but you know what? Okay, I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to say, let's leave genealogy to one side. Let's park it. Okay, let's park incest to one side. Think about it. 1 man, 1 woman, and they populated the entire planet. Oh, okay. So let's leave incest to one side. And now, let's just think about what he's saying in the rest of his point.
Then something happened. We call it the fall. The world isn't the way God originally made it. Adam and Eve broke the world, and it's been broken ever since.
He went ahead and made a world. Adam and Eve broke it. We have an all-knowing, all-powerful, all-seeing God who makes a universe, who makes a world, populates it with 2 people, and they break it. Like, the first thing they do is break it. Really? You didn't see that coming? How on earth could God be surprised by them breaking it? Right? So if God is all-powerful and all-knowing, he knew they were going to break it. It was part of his plan, and this feeds into the whole rest of the video.
And it's been broken ever since. That includes our beliefs and our behavior. That's the Christian view. So no, God didn't make you into an atheist you are today. On the contrary, God says his existence is clearly seen, being understood through what has been made. But there are some that suppress the truth. So her atheism is on her, not God. Second, there's the issue that praying for unbelievers necessarily violates their free will. At this point, we need to ask, what exactly are we praying for?
That's, before we listen to Tim's answer, a really good question. What exactly are we praying for? You would have heard a lot of rhetoric about thoughts and prayers. Okay, so the minute there's any big catastrophe, mostly America, a lot of Christian America go off on a whole thoughts and prayers, right? School shooting, thoughts and prayers. You'd have heard all about that. It's a great question. Why are we praying? Surely we're praying to make things better. So if we're praying to make things better, why is it that Christians always pray for things that don't break the natural laws of the universe? Okay? They only ever pray for things to get better in the future. If you really wanted to make an effective prayer after the event of let's say, a school shooting, you would pray, "Dear God, please go back in time and make the school shooting not happen." That would be the logical prayer to make, okay? Because by the time the school shooting has happened, it's kind of too late, right? You can't, at that point, really help much. Nobody ever prays, "Dear God, please now raise the children who were shot and killed from the dead and bring them back to life." Nobody ever prays that. And you know why? Because everybody actually knows that prayer doesn't do anything. When they stop and they think about it, they know that prayer doesn't do anything. So they don't ask for actual miracles, because those would never happen. Because guess what? There have been no miracles for the last 2,000 years. Because, I wonder why that might be.
Here's my answer. We're asking God to act in such a way to make a difference. Now, this no more violates free will for God to draw unbelievers than it violates free will for me to woo my wife into a relationship. I didn't force her to marry me against her will, so then why'd she marry me? Well, I wooed her. I made myself appealing, now I had hair back then, so that she would like me and eventually fall in love with me. Call it wooing or drawing or attracting or persuading or whatever, but I acted in such a way to help create a relationship without violating her free will. And if I can do it, then God can do it. When I pray, I'm asking God to do that.
So the point he's making here is that when you pray to God, what you're asking for is for God to use his influence over you, with you, to change or manipulate or to alter the way you would behave or the decisions you would make to go ahead and do the thing that God wants. Wow, this is convoluted. So we have a situation here where apparently God is all-knowing and apparently God is all-powerful. But he's apparently waiting for your prayer until he does the thing that we have to assume he was going to do anyway, because God's plan is infallible. Now, try to work this out. You have a God. He makes a universe. He makes a planet. He puts two people on the planet. He waits for the two people to commit a sin that he knew they were going to commit. He then calls that the original sin or the fall, and he allows that to spread out across humanity. He waits a little bit, I don't know how long. He then sends his own son back to be crucified on the cross for the sins, but then we keep committing the sins, so we then have to pray and say we're sorry and Jesus, and then in all of this, the prayers that we're offering must be feeding into God's plan, because God has a plan and it's infallible. So all of our prayers, he knew they were coming in the first place, right? So he knew that I was going to offer up a prayer, or you were going to offer up a prayer, or this guy was going to offer up a prayer. He knew that that was coming. And he waits for it to come before he does the thing by gently wooing the people on the planet to get them to do the thing that he knew they were going to do in the first place. This is absolutely at the crux of what my problem is with this video. Free will is the problem here, okay? He's going around it. He's not actually grappling hold of the real problem, which is the problem of free will. If you have a God that is all-knowing and all-powerful, free will is a nonsense. It makes absolutely zero sense, and that is a big problem for theists, and they know it, and this guy knows it, and this guy's avoiding the question.
Third, she claims it's arrogant to ask God to save unbelievers because it goes against God's will. Ironically, it's God's will for us to pray for the salvation of the lost. The Apostle Paul tells us to imitate him, and he says, my heart's desire and prayer to God for them is that they may be saved. I think Paul would be surprised to learn that his prayer goes against God's will.
So suddenly, this guy knows God's will. And he knows God's will because he thinks Jesus told him. I know I'm sounding like a broken record at this point, guys. But if God's will is infallible, how do you want human free will to overcome that? You have two choices at this point, right? Either God is not infallible and his plan is not infallible because human beings' free will trump his plan, or we have no free will because God has predestined all of us because he knew what we were going to do, and his plan includes every decision we were ever going to make at every level. It includes every collision of every atom. It includes every photon. It includes every quantum event. Okay? You choose. You can't have both. You can't have a situation where God's will is both infallible and all-knowing, and we have complete free will to screw his plan up. You don't get to have both. And he knows that. He knows that. And he's deliberately ignoring it because it's basically checkmate religious people. All right? Free will is a nonsense. It's an absolute nonsense. It's a nonsense for lots of reasons I explore in the video that I mentioned, but it's a nonsense. Okay? And we can talk about free will more on this channel, and we will talk about free will more on this channel. But free will is just inconsistent with religion and theism in general.
This video is mistaken. God has invited us to pray for unbelievers, and when we pray for those unbelievers, it's not arrogance, it's kindness.
Okay, it's kindness. Red pen into pot. So, all right, let's just assume for 1 minute it's all true. It's all true. I've got it completely backwards, and the whole story of Jesus and God, everything else is all completely verbatim, absolutely true. What do you want God to do to convince me to become a Christian? What is it? What wooing process, to use Tim's words, what wooing process is it you're expecting him to do? Like, is he going to appear as a burning bush? I don't know. Like, is he going to create a series of events that lead up to me thinking, oh, wow, okay, clearly it's true. Wow, I've clearly missed the boat here. I should be a Christian. I just don't know what it is he's expecting to happen. And is God going to do this for all non-believers of Christianity, for all Muslims, but for all Hindus, for all Buddhists, all Jainists, like for all atheists, like for everybody? Really? So that's what we're praying for now, is for the whole world to be influenced slowly by God? Just work this through. Why, in the name of logic and reason, would a God do that? If you were going to make the world, and you're going to make the world in a way that you felt was, the best thing to do as a loving God, why would you create a situation where a small group had to pray to you to make the rest of the ones that didn't believe? So the whole idea that this channel is standing up with reason, that is supporting Christianity with reason, it just makes a mockery of reason. Faith literally means to be irrational, okay? You cannot be of faith and be rational. That's impossible. That's what faith means. Faith means you've given up rationality. If you could use rationality to be a Christian, you wouldn't need faith, okay? So really, like, this whole concept, and I'm pointing out this channel, but there's lots of them, and lots of Christians that like to try to claim that they can use rational, reasoned debate to make their case, is utterly fictitious. It's completely and absolutely impossible to support your faith using reason. Tim Barnett, you're going to have to work harder, dude. You just completely took the free will argument that is arguably one of the toughest for theists to actually come back against, and you just skirted around the outside of it. You deliberately went around the ring road. If you're going to do this, do it properly. Take free will on as an actual topic and explain to me how it's possible for God to have a plan that is infallible, and because he's all powerful and all knowing, and for us to have free will that God doesn't know about. Those are completely and absolutely mutually exclusive. All right? Go ahead. Red pen that. Do you think I'm taking the wrong message? Am I making incorrect points? Am I saying things that aren't true? Tell me in the comments. This is what this channel is about. So there it is. I hope you enjoyed this very first reaction video. I mean, I watched the video and I reacted to it, right? So in respect to that, I kind of must have achieved the aim at some level. Hope you found it interesting, maybe. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time on the Discourse Collective. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. If you would like to get involved with the Discourse, please do let us know. Drop us an email, hit us up on social media, and tell us what you feel, what you think, or if you feel you've got some ideas you would like to contribute yourself. Alternatively, if you would like to help pay for this video and future videos, please do visit our Patreon page, as well as helping us out hugely. You actually get access to some really cool behind-the-scenes content. I'll see you next time on the Discourse Collective.